Okay, so today we're looking at Chapter 3, Section 2, all about rotation images. After you finish watching the video, turn into your book at page 123, 124, and you're going to do problems 1, 3, and 6. First off, I want to remind you that a pre-image is the image that is given to you, the one that you start with, and the image is going to be the one that you create. There's something a little counterintuitive about these rotations. Normally we would think of a positive rotation as being going around clockwise, but in this case a positive rotation moves counterclockwise. So if it's a positive rotation, it's going to go in this direction. So in other words, I'm going to rotate it this way. A negative is actually clockwise, and this is something that's sometimes really hard to remember because it's just backwards from the way that we actually think it should be. So positive is counterclockwise, negative is clockwise. Okay, so the first thing we want to do here is we would like to find the magnitude of a rotation. So to find the magnitude of a rotation, what I want to do is I want to pick a point on the image, and I want to pick the same point on the pre-image, and I want to draw a line connecting my center of rotation to the point I've picked on the image and the point I have chosen on the pre-image. Now you notice when I do that, it makes an angle right here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my protractor, and I'm going to bring my protractor up, and I'm going to get it set up so that I can measure this angle between those 2 points, or the angle between the two that I've just drawn in. So this appears to be a 90-degree rotation, and it is a 90-degree, and depending again on how you're looking at it, whether it's clockwise or counterclockwise, did I rotate in up to X? Well, that would be a negative rotation because it's going in the negative direction. Or did I rotate X down to N? And that would be a positive rotation. So since they didn't tell us which one is the image and which one is a pre-image, the only thing I can really say here is that it is a 90-degree rotation. I really can't say anything beyond that it's a 90-degree rotation because I can't really say in which direction. It wouldn't really matter which 2 points you join to do that. So let's say that I had decided to join Z to the end of the flag and Z to the end of the flag over here. If I would bring my protractor back over and I would measure that angle again, I would still get pretty much, if you notice there, it's really close to a 90-degree angle no matter which way I do it. So all I have to do is join this up and then use my protractor to measure the angle. Now to actually do a rotation ourselves is a little bit more difficult, but it can be done. So whenever I do this, the first thing that I want to do is I want to join one of the points on my triangle to the rotation point. So notice I'm going to rotate it negative 180 degrees, and since I'm rotating negative, that means I'm going to go in this direction. So I want to rotate it negative 180 degrees, and G is going to be my rotation center. So the first thing I want to do is I want to connect G to O, and then I'm going to take my protractor and I'm going to set it right here with my center on G and along the line, and I want to mark where the 100-degree mark is. So the 100-degree mark is about right there. Okay, so after I mark where my 100-degree mark was, move my protractor out of the way now, and I'm going to draw in a line joining point G to where that 100-degree mark is. Now the second thing that I have to do is I have to measure a distance as to how far it is over to O, and I don't actually have my ruler here, so I'm just going to use my protractor to estimate. So if I put the protractor on, and I'm estimating it's right about in this area, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that on there. I'm now going to turn it up this way, and I'm going to use my protractor, and I actually should be measuring it with a ruler, but I don't have my ruler out. And I would say that G prime is probably going to be about there. So there is my G prime. And again, the distance, not G prime, excuse me, O prime. The distance from G to O and the distance from G to O prime should be the same distance. So this is O prime. Okay, now I've done that. I've got to do it for the other 2 points also. So I'm going to have to join point P to G. I'm going to have to again bring up my protractor, and I'm going to have to move my protractor so that I've got the center on G, and then I'm going to have to adjust it so that I can get a 100-degree angle, and then I'm going to have to mark again 100 degrees, and I'm going to mark it out here, move my protractor out of the way so that I can draw in my line. There we go, I'm drawing in the line 100 degrees. I'm going to use my protractor to sort of estimate how far G and P are away from each other. I'm going to look at it, and then I'm going to move my protractor here so that I can estimate it down and put P prime where I need to put P prime. So I'm moving my protractor to do the estimation. And again, I am just estimating whenever I should be technically measuring. Whenever I look at this, P prime appears to me like it should probably go about here. And that's going to be P prime. Okay, I have to do it one more time because I've now moved O and I've moved P. So the last one that I'm going to have to move is my Q. So I'm going to connect Q to G. I'm going to bring in my protractor one more time. I'm going to put it on G and straighten it up here a little bit. Alright, and see, it's the red line I'm working with, so I need to get it on the red line. Okay, so then I want to come out here and I again want to measure where my 100-degree angle is, which is going to be right about there. I'm going to move this out of the way again. This time I'm going to draw in a red line out through there. There goes my red line. And then I need to measure, so I'm going to see if I can find my math tools here. Right there they are, and I'm going to get a ruler so that I can actually measure it correctly this time. So I'm going to put it there. I'm going to turn my ruler up. It's about 75. So now I'm going to bring my ruler on around here. And I'm going to measure 75 out here. So that's going to be there. Okay, now I'm going to move the ruler out of the way. And this is going to be Q prime. So let's label it Q prime. Now the last step that I need to do is I am going to need to connect my new points and make a triangle. So I'm going to connect O and P. I'm going to connect O to Q. And I'm going to connect P to Q. Okay, had I done it correctly, and I think where I made my mistake was whenever I did P, it should be a triangle that looks exactly like this one. Let me see, because if I bring this up here and measure it, G to P is, okay, I've got it at 50 there. Let's turn it around and see what I have it at here. And see if that is where I made my mistake, is whenever I measure that. It's really hard to measure using the tools on the Promethean board. Well, anyway, I think that's the one that I messed up and why my triangle doesn't look exactly right. I'm sure you can do a better job with your triangle or with your protractor and ruler on your own paper. So that's the end of our notes for today. Remember, this would be called the pre-image and this would be called the image, and they should look exactly alike, just turned, but of course in my case it didn't turn out exactly alike. Okay, so now go to your book and go to page 123 and 124, and I want you to do problems 1, 3, and 6.